Hello there. Hi, everyone, and welcome to another live stream with me, Lara Ryan from Complete Test Success. So today I have an IELTS Writing Task 2 question for you. I'm going to share that question with you, and I'm going to get you to write the various parts of that Task 2 essay. As you're writing the essay, you'll share the different parts with me in the comments, and I'll be able to give you feedback on any mistakes you're making, any issues you have. So basically, by pointing out your mistakes, you'll know what problems you have. You can go and fix those, and that will improve your scores. Then, as we're going through that process, we'll construct the essay together on the screen. So that is the plan for today. So let me share the question with you. Hang on, now let me make that a bit bigger. Okay, so there's the question we're looking at today. In modern times, people have fewer hobbies than in the past, such as painting, playing musical instruments, or gardening. What are the causes of this, and what are some possible solutions? Okay, now, as with every Task 2 essay, we must begin by writing the paraphrase. Okay. So I'm just trying to find a way to make this as big as possible on the screen for you guys. Okay, that should work. Right, so the first thing we need to do is we need to write the paraphrase. So let me get started with that. Now, when we're writing the paraphrase, basically what that means is we want to take that question statement from the question, and we want to rewrite that in our own words. Now, what's important is that what we write has the same meaning as this question statement, as this sentence that I've highlighted here. We want to change some words, because if we just copy everything directly, obviously that does not look very good for our test. You know, we're trying to show that we've got a good level of English. So it's important that we can change some of that vocab, or maybe change around the grammar structures a little bit. But there will be some words that we don't know how to change. So we might not know a synonym for hobby. Well, in that case, just use the word hobby. So change the words you can change, copy the words you can't change. The most important thing is that our sentence has the same meaning as the question, and that it's clear and easy to understand. Now, in this particular question, there's an example, such as painting, playing musical instruments, or gardening. Now, what is that example? Well, it's an example of hobbies, so that the candidate can understand what types of hobbies or what exactly the question is about. So we don't need to paraphrase the example. Any IELTS question with an example, the example is there to help you understand the question. But in the paraphrase, that's actually not necessary. So in our paraphrase, we just need this part. In modern times, I'm just going to say nowadays, people have fewer hobbies. Let's say individuals have fewer pastimes. And now we just need to paraphrase than in the past, than they used to. Perfect, let's take that. Okay, and that's all I need to do. So we can, if we want to paraphrase the question, we can. It's not wrong to paraphrase the question, but it's not a requirement. So we don't need to worry about that too much. And that brings us to the next part of our essay. Okay, so that's the next task I have for you guys here. So I want you to tell me, what ideas do you think we can use in this essay? We have to say, what are the causes? And make sure there it says causes is plural. So we have to have at least two. And what are some possible solutions? Again, solutions is plural, so we have to have two. So in this essay, we'll have a total of 4 ideas. We'll have 2 causes and 2 solutions. So in the comments, share your ideas with me. The requirements of those ideas are, your ideas must be relevant, as in they must be about what the question has asked us to talk about, and they must be specific. If you come up with a vague idea, what will happen is that will limit you to a band 6 in task response. If we have irrelevant ideas, we'll get a band 4 or a band 5, depending on how many irrelevant ideas we have. So that's the goal at the moment. Come up with 2 causes, 2 solutions, share those with me in the comments. And if any of them are irrelevant or if any of them are vague, I'll let you know. And I'll take the ones that are suitable. I'll add them to the document that I'm sharing with you here on the screen. And then we'll move forward to the next part of the essay. So I'll just give you guys a minute to think of your ideas and share them in the comments. Okay, so we don't have much in the way of participation today, so no problem at all. Hang Wing, good to see you. Yeah, all good, thanks. Hopefully you're doing well too. Okay, so we have our first ideas here from Duck. Causes over-reliance on technology and automation. Not feel a great need to be interested in these activities. So with the first one, over-reliance on technology and automation, I always encourage my students to avoid ideas that have the word "and" in the middle. Because are you saying over-reliance on technology and then another idea is over-reliance on automation? Or is technology and automation one thing? Would it be clearer if we just said over-reliance on technology and then just leave it at that? So I don't like having the word "and" in the middle of an idea. Then you said, not feel a great need to be interested in these activities. That's a little bit vague. They don't feel a great need. Why do they not feel a great need, or what's going on? So that first idea I like, over reliance on technology. So let me add that. Causes of this situation are an over reliance on technology, and we need a second idea here. While some possible solutions include, and now we need our 2 solutions there as well. But yep, that works perfectly. Ahmed, becoming addicted to their smartphones. Yeah, definitely. I think over reliance on technology, that's the same idea. So we can't use both of those. We can't use both of those ideas, over reliance on technology and addiction to their, people are addicted to their smartphones. I think people are addicted to their smartphones is probably a more direct approach to it. So over reliance on technology is like they rely too much on technology for what? For passing their time. I think addiction to smartphones is actually a clearer way of saying that. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to change that. So the causes of this situation are that people are addicted to their smartphones. I'm pretty confident that's the same idea. And perfect. Okay. Hi, Aman. Compared to the past, sorry, let me just get rid of that. Compared to the past, people now have a busy life as most of the time is spent maintaining better lifestyle, leading to less time. So what does this mean? Maintaining a better lifestyle. So does that mean that they're working more? That would make sense. that would make sense. But this maintaining a better lifestyle is a kind of an indirect way of saying people have to work more. And then you said nowadays people are engaged with screen-based passive activities. So you're, again, it seems like, Aman, you're trying to use complicated vocab in an attempt to impress the examiner with complicated vocabulary. It's a very common mistake that students make, whereas instead of just saying exactly what they want to say, they'll say engaging in screen-based passive activities means using their phone too much, right? Or, you know, people are addicted to their smartphones, like that. So just try to be more direct. So your ideas are okay, your ideas are relevant, and your ideas are specific, but the way that you are describing them is more complicated than it needs to be. But yeah, let's take that. People are addicted to their smartphones and they are working more than ever. So they don't have the time for the hobbies, and when they do have time, they're on their smartphones. I might go the other way around. It might make more sense that people are working more than ever and are addicted to their smartphones. While some possible solutions include, and now we need our ideas for the solutions. So number 3 and number 4 must be the solutions. Okay, Ahmed, solutions: encouraging individuals to have better time management, trying to find balance between surfing the internet, achieving their daily tasks, and practicing their hobbies. Now, what I would say is, when you're trying to think of your main idea, try to do it so that your main idea is, let's say, 4, 5, 6 words long. If you need a long sentence to explain what your idea is, it's very difficult to analyze your idea and say, okay, is my idea relevant or is it irrelevant? Is it vague or is it specific? Because it's so long, it's more like a concept. So try to narrow your idea down to like 4 words, 5 words, something like that. And it's much easier to check if your ideas are okay. So you're saying, help people improve their time management skills. Help people improve their time management skills. So that's 6 words. But my question then would be, how are we going to make them improve their time management skills? So that's more like the goal. That's the goal that we want. So when we're finished, we want people to have better time management skills. How are we going to do that? You know, so me wanting to do that isn't the same as, you know, my approach or, you know, what action I will take. So rather than having the goal that we want to achieve, can you tell me, how are we going to improve people's time management skills? How are we going to do that? Cause number 2, there are more appealing things for them. Now, this is a good example of a vague idea. All right. Now, if you start with a vague idea, you're very likely to end up with a band 6 for task response. Because what happens then? There are more appealing things. Okay, so what you're telling me is there are other things that they like more. So what are those things? Now I'm left imagining, what are those things? Maybe it's smartphones, maybe it's movies, maybe it's video games, maybe it's, you know, whatever, like, you know. So in my head, I'm thinking of many possible examples of what you're talking about, but I don't know exactly which one. So what you want to do is you want to, instead of saying other more appealing things, take one of those things that you're thinking about, make that your main idea. So instead of having an idea that kind of covers many other things, you end up with just one idea. Hi, Elisa. Hi, Amy. Solution: public awareness. Help individuals become conscious of the benefit to reduce their screen time and spend more time on other leisure activities. Yeah, so a public awareness campaign, that will work. Include public awareness campaigns, and we still need our second solution. So we need one more solution before we can continue. So I'll just give you guys, let's say, 1 more minute. If nobody thinks of one, I will add an idea myself. issue policies on working time limit. Yep, that'll work. Perfect. So let's do this the other way around. Include new policies to restrict restrict working hours and public awareness campaigns. Okay, so there we've done everything we need to do. Perfect. Okay, so in this essay, I want to have 2 body paragraphs. The first body paragraph is going to be to discuss the causes, and the second body paragraph is going to be to discuss the solutions. That's going to be the easiest way to organize this. So let me just write the first sentence. Okay, so the first reason why people have fewer hobbies these days is that, and what did we say was our first idea? People are working, is that people work, is that they work longer hours now than ever before. Okay, so that's going to be the first sentence. Now look, I know this is getting a little bit mixed up, so I'm just going to label this. So that's the introduction, and this is body paragraph 1. So I just want to make sure that you can see the question, because the development has to be related to what the question asked as well. We can't just go completely off topic and just start talking about, you know, why people are working more hours. We want to explain why people working more hours results in people having fewer hobbies, or fewer people having hobbies. So the next task I have for you guys then is, how can we develop this idea? So when we have 4 ideas in our essay, we're going to write about 50 words for each idea. Now, obviously, I've already written a number of words to introduce the topic. So I've written 20 words already. We want to write about another 30 words to develop this idea fully, and then we will move on to our second cause. So we want to stay writing until we reach about 50 words. So we need 30 words of development. That could be an explanation, an example, you know, whatever you feel is appropriate. It doesn't really matter as long as we're developing that idea enough. So again, I'll let you guys write up that development, share it with me in the comments. And then again, if you're making any mistakes, be it with vocab or grammar, or if the development isn't appropriate for some reason, I'll be able to highlight that for you. And then, of course, I'll be able to explain why it's wrong so that you can improve your scores. Hi, Dukan. Ting Wing, you know him, right? I have just known him. Yeah, so Wing and I used to work together in Ho Chi Minh. So yeah, a long time ago now, Wing, for sure. We were both younger men back then. Okay, guys. So like I said, I'll just give you like 1 minute, 2 minutes, let you put that development together and share it with me in the comments. Okay, let's say 1 more minute now. 1 more minute. Okay, so we have the first comment in from Duck. Since people have greater access to better education, their work requires more significant tasks and increased performance to meet target of their companies. Now, this is something I want you to always consider, and this is why, generally speaking, with my students, I'll tell them to plan the essay first. Planning the essay in advance, I suppose we could do it. Maybe that's what I should be doing first, but I tend just to kind of go through step by step of writing the essay. But what's a lot easier if you plan your essay first is to notice the problem here. So what idea are we talking about? The idea that we're talking about is that people work longer hours. Okay, they work longer hours now than ever before. So there's our idea. Now, in this development, are you talking about people working longer hours? Yes. Yes, you are. So is it relevant to the main idea we're discussing? Yes, 100% yes, you are talking about our main idea. But what you've lost sight of is that we're writing an essay about the topic in the question. Is your development related to the topic of the question? The answer is no. No, it's not. It's such a common reason why students end up getting a band 6 for task response is when they're thinking of their main idea, they're focusing on the question. When they're thinking of their development, they're only focusing on the idea. So I don't need to know why people are working more these days. I need to know why people working more results in people having fewer hobbies. So when you're developing your idea, you need to explain to me how your idea is connected to that topic in the question. Not just talk about your idea, but show me the connection. Explain how those things are connected, or give me an example of those things being connected. So at the moment, that's not going to be appropriate. We won't use this in the essay. Okay, next one. Due to technological advancements, people now have access to better accessories such as microwave ovens that are expensive to afford. That are expensive. Therefore, many people are doing double shifts just to afford. Well, what? So you're saying people are working more so that they can buy expensive devices. So the reason people are working more is that they want to buy expensive stuff. That's fair enough. But just like I said with Duck a moment ago, you're in the same situation. You're explaining to me why people are working more. I don't need that. I need to know why people working more means that people have fewer hobbies than they did in the past. So again, you need to show me the connection. Any development that's related to the idea but not related to the question means you're off topic. So everything you're going to write about has to be within the context of the question. If you're writing about something completely separate from what the question asked, it's not suitable. So just be careful with that. Ahmed, as people are suffering from the issue of low salaries, they have to do more than one job or work for extra time on their current job, leading to a difficult work-life balance. Okay, so kind of the same thing again. You're all doing the same thing. You're explaining to me why people are working more, not why people working more results in fewer hobbies. Okay, so let me jump in. And I'll just show you how we would develop this. Okay, as workplaces are generally more competitive, competitive than before, than they used to be, people must work longer hours and therefore have less time for the hobbies that they would spend their time doing otherwise. Now, you can see that my development is now explaining why people are working more results in people having fewer hobbies. So it's not that anybody reading your essay wouldn't understand what you're talking about. You know, you're saying people have less time, so they don't have time for hobbies. Fair enough. You know, it's not groundbreaking. It's not that anybody wouldn't understand that without you pointing it out in a very obvious way. But nevertheless, that's the goal. That's the goal of the essay, is for you to make that connection, not for you to put all the information on the table, and then the reader has to come along and kind of put the pieces together. It's your responsibility to tell the reader why these things are happening. So yeah, that's the responsibility of you as a writer. Now, let's see, how are we getting on with the word count? It looks like it's probably enough. 52 words. Yep, so that's fine. And we'll move on. Another possible cause of this is that many individuals are addicted to their phones. Okay, so same again, I need you guys to develop that idea for me, please. So let me just highlight it just in case anyone kind of comes in late, that they'll be able to follow what we're doing. Okay, so how are we going to develop that idea? Another possible cause of this is that many individuals are addicted to their phones. Again, we need to develop the idea so that it is about 50 words. Once we're finished writing about it, the sentence I've already written and the development collectively add up to about 50 words. Okay, so let's see what comments we have here. Because of greater access to better education, people's work requires more significant tasks and increased performance to meet their target, and their companies make it more challenging. Yeah, so same issue again there, where we're not really talking about why they have fewer hobbies. We're just talking about why they're working more. To arrange more time for developing hobbies. So making it more challenging for them to arrange more time, well, just to have enough time, for them to have enough time for their hobbies, something like that. Hey, Ty, welcome. As people struggle to make ends meet, they end up working more shifts. End up would be informal. Avoid using informal language like that. They end up working more shifts, causing them to burn out. Eventually, individuals get exhausted and don't have the energy. Don't have the energy or time. So they don't have that or that. So when it's both two things you don't have, they don't have this or that. So they don't have energy or time to spend for other activities, to spend on, and then let's just say to spend on hobbies. Let's just say really clearly. Okay, so moving you guys on to the next idea. We're now talking about phone addiction. So move on to that there and share the development with me in the comments. Aman, when people spend the majority of their free time using mobile devices, they have little or no time for active hobbies like gardening. Yeah. That works. Yep, good. Obviously, it's not long enough, but you're on the right track there for sure. Ahmed, the more time people spend using their phones on a daily basis, the less time available for the less time there is available for them to enjoy their hobbies. So some grammar mistakes there. Okay, yeah. I kind of have something in mind. So both of you what you're writing is suitable, but I kind of have something in mind that I kind of want to come at it from another angle. So yeah, what you're saying is fine, but give me a moment and I'll write down how I would develop this idea. Just, I think, kind of highlighting the fact that people, any free time they have is spent on their smartphones. So we're talking about the addiction. So because any free time they have is spent on their smartphones, they don't have the time. They don't have any extra time that they can use to develop hobbies or to have hobbies. So what you're saying, both of you, what you're saying is fine, but I just want to come at it from that angle. Due to the addictiveness of apps in phones, people tend to spend their time surfing and playing games on it. This results in less time for their hobbies. Yeah, so we can't say less time for their hobbies. What we're saying is that they have fewer hobbies. So what we're not talking about that they have hobbies that they're not spending time on, is that they don't even have those hobbies to begin with. So we would just change that little bit there. Hi, Huynh. with a variety of engaging and appealing content people can find on smartphones, they spend much of their time being glued to their screens. That would be informal, so we would avoid that. That is why this deters them from doing other activities they may like. Yep, so that makes sense. I'd like you to include in that first sentence, make a direct connection, make it clear that you're talking about people having fewer hobbies. Because if you kind of set up the context and then move on to the development, make the next part of the development related to the question, that's not as good as just making every part directly related. Okay, so let me jump in. I'm going to develop this bit here. So let's see. As they spend all of their free time on their phones, they don't have any available time to develop hobbies. What did it say in the question? They have fewer hobbies. I suppose being on your phone is a hobby, isn't it? It's just not the type of hobby we would consider painting. Maybe conventional hobbies, develop conventional hobbies. So as they spend all of their time, all of their free time on their phones, they don't have any available time. They don't have any time left, let's say, to develop other more conventional hobbies, as people in the past had. They have to develop the type of conventional hobbies that people in the past used to have. There we go. Now, how long is that? Should be enough. Word count 46. A little bit short, but yep, that gets it done for us. Okay, so that is body paragraph 1 done, and we need to move on then to our body paragraph 2. So there's our introduction done, body paragraph 1 done, and now we need to talk about the solutions. So again, let me just label it clearly. Body paragraph 2. Okay, so we said one possible solution to this problem is to, now let me go to the introduction. I can't remember what we said. Include new policies is to, maybe develop would be better. So one possible solution to this problem is to have policies that restrict people from working very long hours. Okay, now, so just let's learn from our mistake last time. So the last time when you tried to develop your ideas, you just spoke about the idea, but not in the context of the question. So just learn from that. And this time we're trying to develop that idea, but we're trying to say within the context of having more hobbies. So make the connection between these policies and resolving the issue that people have fewer hobbies than they did in the past. So make sure that there's a direct connection. When you're writing your explanation, it's a direct connection between our idea and the topic of the question. Or if you're giving an example, it's a direct connection, an example of our idea being connected to the topic from the question. So just make sure that it's directly related. Okay. So again, I'll get you guys to develop that idea, share your development with me, and then I'll add it to the screen. Okay, so I have a response from Brew. Hi, Brew. When people spend more time on gadgets, they will forget about productive activities that will benefit their health in the future. So productive activities, it feels like you're trying not to use the word hobby. It's okay to use the word hobby, or if you want to use the word pastime as a synonym, but you don't want to use a word that becomes vague, where now we don't know for sure, are you talking about hobbies, or are you talking about something else? So just try to make it as clear as possible that you are definitely directly addressing the topic provided in the question. Hi, Samuel. Good to see you here. I'm very good, thanks. Okay, so I'll just give you all 1 more minute there. 1 more minute to share how you would develop this idea. Okay, so none of you have shared anything yet, so I'll jump in just to make sure we can get through the full essay. I have another lesson coming up after this, so it would be nice if we got the essay finished. If employers were required to give their staff how will I phrase this? Less time at work, fewer hours. If employers were required to assign their staff fewer hours each week, general population, the general public would have more free time and could engage in more hobbies, just like people did in the past. Okay, so that's enough. I think that's enough. Word count, yeah, 51 words. Missing a comma there. Okay, so then that brings us to our second idea. Another solution would be, and what did we have? Would be public awareness campaigns would be for governments to use public awareness campaigns. Okay, again, let me just remove that and try and get it a little bit tidier on the screen. And again, so same task again. How are we going to develop that idea? Okay, so I'll give you, let's say, 2 minutes. Share with me what you would say, and then I'll have some feedback for you. So that verb there, for governments to run public awareness campaigns. That's the word I was looking for. Okay, so we have some other comments on the previous idea. Let's have a look. Ahmed, strict work policies do not only give individuals the right to work fewer hours. So maybe like stricter work policies would not, because we're talking hypothetically. This isn't really happening. We're just talking in our imagination. But would also allow them to have, you don't need a comma before but, not with that structure, not only, but also we don't have a comma before the but would also allow them to have the time they need to discover what hobbies they can, let's say, pursue. Pursue would be a stronger collocation with hobby. But yep, that all looks good. And definitely you're now making that strong connection between the idea and the topic of the question. So you're doing a good job with that. Very good. Government involvement in making effective policies for the community is needed to tackle this problem. So again, make it clear that you're discussing the issue of people having fewer hobbies. So make that connection in your sentence. Don't wait until later and kind of, come back and loop back to the topic. Make it clear that you're addressing that topic in that sentence. That would be better. When effective policies promote better work-life balance by reducing the workload, they will have more time to spend on their hobbies. So you need to make it clear who they are. So maybe that's clear from the previous sentence that isn't on the screen right now. But from what you've written, it's not clear who they are. So that pronoun isn't completely clear. Hi, Dark Star. I'm doing very well. Thank you. Hope you're doing good. Nemes. Hello, Mr. Ryan. I'm a huge fan of you. Thank you so much. Thank you for your use of videos. You're very welcome. And welcome to the lesson. Okay, guys. So let's say 1 more minute. I'll get you to share your development for that idea there. And then, as always, I'll have some feedback for you. Dark Star. Another possible way is to encourage. Yeah, but who's going to encourage? Who's going to be the person doing the encouraging? So in this context, we're saying that people in general have fewer hobbies. So who's going to be the one encouraging them to take up more hobbies? Or how are you going to encourage them to take up more hobbies? So at the moment, that would be a little bit vague. In fact, it's vague. Not a little bit, it is vague. Thank you very much, Rashan. Very nice to hear. Okay, so I'm not seeing any development so far. If you guys just want to share what you have, even if you're not finished, like the full explanation that you're writing, just share what you have with me, even if you're not finished, and I'll be able to talk to you about that. Ahmed, had there been an adequate public awareness about the importance of having hobbies and their impact on a person's personality, there would have been more individuals who are doing more hobbies. Okay, yeah. So the grammar, I know I told you we need to use the would because it's hypothetical and you're trying to do that. So that's very encouraging that you're so good at responding to feedback. The grammar isn't completely accurate. So let me just take what you've written and I'll tidy it up. Okay, so let's just add what you've written to the screen here. Okay, so if there was an adequate public awareness campaign about the importance of having hobbies and their impacts on a person's personality, there would have been, so there would be more individuals, we don't need that, there would be more individuals with more hobbies. Now, is that long enough? Let's just check here. A little bit short. So if there was an adequate public, okay, so if there were adequate public awareness campaigns about the importance of having hobbies, maybe the importance of having hobbies, just because it's a bit short. What types of hobbies are possible and their positive impact on a person's, and I'm just going to say well-being, I think more so than their personality. There would be more individuals engaging in these types of hobbies, engaging in various hobbies. And there, so I didn't really need to develop it more. I just kind of reworded it, made it a bit more wordy, and there now we have 47 words, so that's enough. All right, so that is the majority of our essay written. So we had our introduction, body paragraph 1 about the causes. Here we have body paragraph 2 about the solutions, and then that leaves us with the conclusion. So in conclusion, the main reasons why people have fewer hobbies these days is that they're working more and addicted to their smartphones. So you can see I'm just repeating what we've already said. There's nothing new here. Excuse me. Two possible solutions are to issue policies related to how much each individual can work per week, and launching relevant public awareness campaigns. Okay, so we're done. That's the whole essay. We've written that in 48 minutes. When you think in the real test, you've got 40 minutes. So, you know, that's not ridiculous for us to work together, take time to write it, take time to look at what is suitable and what's not suitable. And that whole essay is 284 words, so a nice length. So generally speaking, I encourage my students to write somewhere about 280 words. It's a nice length to make sure the ideas are developed enough that you can get a high task response score, but short enough that you can finish it in 80 minutes. So that there is a full and complete essay. Okay, let's have a look at what comments are left, and then we'll finish up here for today. So Darkstar, another possible way can be to arrange free workshops for leisure skills. This can be done by the government. This allows people to build. Yeah, so yeah, that is another possible idea. Yeah, definitely we could have used that, but that would have been back at the start when we were starting first. It wouldn't be included in the paragraph we were writing. We can discuss about cost, time, interest, and the trend of society. Is this in relation to the public awareness campaigns? I'm not sure where you're trying to fit this information. Hey, Jerry. Hi, sir. Do you think we should reread our writing right in the exam time? Yeah. Oh, yeah, 100%. So, like, one of my things that I'll always do is I will write they instead of the. So it's something that for some reason when I'm writing by hand and when I'm typing, I always make that mistake. So for me, that would be the first thing I would check. You want to reread your essay, which I didn't do here during the live stream. But yeah, you want to reread your essay, see if you can find any mistakes. Be aware of what types of mistakes you make most often. That way you can be more focused and you're more likely to find, the specific types of mistakes that you make. You're more likely to find more mistakes. What you can also do is improve the range. So I think I used the word pastimes once in that essay, and I used the word hobbies maybe 8, 9, 10 times. So, might go back and, swap out the word hobby for pastime in 2 or 3 of those. So you can also go back and improve the range, check for spelling mistakes. Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. It's very, very important. And what happens to a lot of students is they'll write really long essays. So they'll write an essay that's 350 words long, and then they don't have time to correct. They don't have time to correct their mistakes. So they end up with a lower score than if they had written a shorter essay and been more strategic with the time. So yes, Jerry, definitely very, very important. I always thought that the solution has to address the cause. Ain't that right? No. I mean, whatever way you fix the problem doesn't matter. It can be directly addressing the cause you've mentioned. It can just go and fix the original problem that's in the question. So either way. Do you have to include example? No, you do have to develop every idea. And an example is one way of developing your idea. An explanation is another way of developing your idea. In some questions, especially if there are only 2 ideas, you're very likely to have your idea followed by an explanation and an example. But it's not that you have to have an example, it's that you have to have development. And one form of development is an example. Are long sentences more or less accepted in the IELTS essays, assuming they're grammatically correct? So you need to use a range of complex structures, but they don't have to be very long. As long as you're using sentences with some form of a dependent clause, you're doing what you need to do for a higher score. So they don't have to be long. There needs to be a range of structures. You need to use them accurately, but it's not that very long sentences are required. But what you'll find is, with people who have a higher level of English, they'll just naturally use longer sentences without necessarily intending to do it, but just, they have the idea and they kind of put it together and it ends up becoming a long sentence. Whereas students with lower levels of English will need more sentences per essay. So we're all aiming for about 280 words. How we get there, the lower level students will have more sentences, the higher level students will have fewer sentences, but the essay will be about the same length. No, you don't have to have examples. So like I was just saying with Thai just there, you can use examples if you want. They're not a requirement. The development of the idea is a requirement. You can do that by giving explanations or examples. You can talk about the results of the situation you're discussing. So yes, you can use examples, but they're not a strict requirement. Okay, that's it for today, everybody. If you guys need one-on-one support, reach out to me. I can talk to you about my courses. And yeah, that's it for today. See you all next week. Take care of yourselves. Bye.